What's up? We're live. Yep, we're live. What's up, guys? John Sintez here, Cutternation Podcast. Got a guy on here I'm really excited about. He's been doing some big-time training over in Colorado. But first, you know what's coming. Don't forget to check out, Brain Armor with their Focus Fix right here. I love this stuff. Drop it into some water right here. Great little different kind of pre-workout. Going to help the brain, help you focus and do some stuff. You can combine this with anything. Don't forget to grab your flush bands. These are awesome blood flow restrictive training. And then now we get the pretty part. Now, DJ, I know you've seen these, but you're getting a first look at them. Balma Bats. Appreciate Balma. We've been doing a lot of good stuff here with them. But you can check these guys out. I will be putting out, I have only six. I will be selling them. I'll be putting all the information out on that soon. But without further ado, let's get this guy in here. DJ Edwards, owner of Push Perform. DJ, can you hear me? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing? I can hear you great.
Awesome. I appreciate you coming on this morning. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me. It's a little cold here right now today. It's dropped down to like the 30s. Now it's supposed to be in the 60s by the end of the week. So,
dude, I thought I was freezing. I thought I was freezing over here in San Diego. You know, we woke up this morning, it's like 45 degrees.
Yeah.
You're in Colorado, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm just south of Denver.
Right on. So Push Perform is a facility that you own. What's the general mission there with what you're trying to do?
Essentially just serve the underserved population of baseball players, from development skill to weightlifting to, knowledge of data and how to use that data, collect data, all that kind of fun stuff.
Right on. So you're a tech data guy. You put a lot of stuff in there.
Honestly, we just adapted this within the last couple of months. I mean, we bought a lot of software last year, Rapsodo, a VBT unit, a lot of that stuff, but we didn't really collect the data. And the last couple of months, honestly, we just crushed it. We force profile guys on our velocity-based training. We got guys starting on getting Whoop bands so we can monitor their readiness, their rest levels, their sleep. Got, the Rapsodo pitch sequencing, development, Rapsodo hitting for our hitting instructors. So it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Rapsodo. I'm this close to pulling the trigger on one, and just the information that gets back to, it's tremendous for anytime you can 3D map a pitch and really get a lot of information out that's going to help you understand when you're trying to throw a slider or a cutter, if it's doing the thing that what your brain thinks it's doing, or is your hand making the ball move and stuff like that. A lot of people haven't really seen that. That's still kind of new, even though you and I I've known about it for about a year now.
Yeah.
So,
we've had it for a year, a little over a year. And, we worked with our pro group last off season on it. And it was awesome. We had a couple guys literally turn around their careers and head to the fall league this year.
That's awesome.
And, have a lot of success, really high numbers of strikeouts. We had a guy that was just traded in the middle of the season in the big leagues. And he, as soon as I told him last offseason, his one seam wasn't very great based off the Rapsodo. And his new team that acquired him actually told him the exact same thing. So he kind of bought into it that way too. So it's pretty cool to see, big league guys, minor league guys, college guys buy into that as well. Yeah,
that's awesome. You just said a great term that you don't hear every day, one seam. So that's awesome. That's a great little thing there.
It should move a lot, but that thing's not moving.
For you kids at home, on my YouTube video, when I say how to throw my two seam, I sneak in how to throw the one seam to everybody there. So check that out. Shameless plug. I have zero shame. So let's go over your playing history. Where are you from? Where'd you go to school? Where'd you play?
Yep.
Obviously you have a good knowledge of pitching and baseball, but let's hear about it.
I'm actually not a pitching guy. I'm a middle infielder. So I grew up in Northern California. I was born in Mountain View. Moved to the Denver area just right before middle school time. Went to high school out here. Went to a small JUCO called Lamar Community College. We were pretty dang good. We were 56-10 at the time, ranked 4th in the nation, lost in the super regionals to the team that eventually won it all. And then I went to Metro State University in downtown Denver. And then moved to Vail, Colorado, and did nothing with my life for a few years.
Yeah, there is a weird thing when ball players like get done, get out, and there's like, well, what do I do now? Like I've just done
glorious.
this thing.
It
Yeah,
was glorious. It was
I know.
Awesome. Ski bum.
Yeah, there was a time where when I got done with college and I broke my elbow, so I couldn't even throw, and so I was like trying to figure out what in the world I was going to do.
Yeah,
and I just started putting one foot in front of the other, started rehabbing, started working, started just like, you know what, might as well just see what can happen. Next thing you know, I get all the way down to the Mexican big leagues, and it was fun. So
it's cool.
That's cool. So you're a middle infielder guy. You're obviously familiar with pitching and pitches and stuff are there. Do you feel like you use that? So the pitching information that are you able to translate that to, flip flop it to the other side of what hitters can benefit from that information?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a pretty good staff, and honestly, I learned a lot of my pitch design stuff from one of our guys. His name is Dylan Rowe. He's with the Giants. He was pitcher of the year last year with the Giants. He was like 87, 89 with the Orioles. Now he's, I think 96 to 98 with a 0.3% spin efficiency on his slider, almost like a gyro spin slider.
Jesus.
So, yeah, he's pretty dirty, pretty nasty, but he's 6'10" also.
Oh, so, well. And is he a lefty? Is he a lefty that also throws from three-quarter like Randy Johnson?
Sorry. No, that would be dirty. That would be dirty. But no, so I mean, honestly, I learned a lot. This is just recently, last offseason, I learned a lot of that stuff. My hitting was my background was hitting. I'm really fortunate enough to work with Chris Dunn with High Pro Hitting. He's one of the top guys as well. He works with a lot of big leaguers. So we bounce data back and forth all the time. So we just recently, like I said, bought the hitting Rapsodo. So we're just kind of looking at spin and top spin. If a guy has top spin, if a guy's pulling off, whatever like that. And then we'll just kind of see, all right, this guy's trying to attack you with X, and you're trying to prevent it with Z. So, my 99% of my background is in strength and conditioning, but I need to know the hitting side and the throwing side as well, obviously, to benefit our athletes. I fully believe that every hitting guy, throwing guy, head coach, assistant coach should have a basis of biomechanics and what's being used in baseball, just so you can, if a guy's having trouble with his front side, can't get out on his front side, we're going to really focus on, all right, his scap can't get around his thorax because his rib cage is flared, or his anterior core stability sucks, so he can't transfer his force, so he's losing velo. Or he's stuck in extension, he's trying to rotate it around extension, and he can't do that. So that's kind of something that we all three work together on.
That's awesome. I mean, it sounds like you completely broke down the biomechanics of what anybody's deficiencies are. That's amazing. That's one of the funny things about pitching is, you never know if it's mental, and I'm sure this is the same way with hitting too. It could be mechanical, it could be mental, it could be the wind. It could be the wind, blowing in and just affecting somebody not being successful, or it even could be something as simple as their eyes. That's a lot of the things that I run into with younger kids and guys, whatever. I think that recently we've lost the ability to understand what hand-eye coordination actually is. I tell people all the time, I'm like, the longer that you look at something, the more likely you're going to throw at it. So try to keep your focus, but that's just not a normal thought process because little Johnny's been whipping his head everywhere to throw with dad in the backyard, and so he comes, forgets what he's doing. Yeah. So that's a great thing, man. I wish, the regret list, as I get older, the regret list gets just so much higher because it's like, man, I wish I could have found a DJ or a Robbie Rowe or somebody that was so much smarter than I was just to teach me everything. You know what I mean?
That's essentially why I started doing what I do. There was a different way. I lost a lot. I gained a lot. There had to be a different way to train. I obviously looked into, guys that were previously doing it and how can I duplicate what they're doing, how can I give that to the guys in Colorado area and now nationally, a goal. So that's I just did dumbbell bench and bicep curls growing and back squats, so which is a great workout. I love that, don't get me wrong, but
hey, I'm with you. I'm guilty. I am guilty of that one too.
But then there's more to it, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Essentially why I started, and I'm really lucky. I get to work with one of my best friends every day and bounce ideas off of him, and just kind of watch it grow. And we're moving into a new facility here in February. Hopefully we just signed a lease the other day, so hopefully everything goes through, and just kind of keep on growing what we're doing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, when you get to your new place, we could do some kind of pitching hitting clinic. I have some crazy ideas.
That'd be great.
I went up to, have you seen Johansson's place, or have you seen anything about them?
Yeah.
Last December, I went up there and did a clinic with him, and we did he did like a speaking clinic, and I was the featured guy at the end. So he had like 3 or 4 guys go ahead of me. And then what we did was really cool. I did my entire routine for his whole facility, where I warmed up, I did all my mobilities, I did my plyo balls, I long tossed, and then I pitched, but then I pitched to his guys. So I got up to like 88, 89 or something like that. But what was funny was like, I throw everything in the book on purpose, because there's a couple things with that. One, I want to know how to throw every pitch. So if there's a kid that throws a splitter and I don't throw a splitter, I want to be able to help him with it. I want to understand the mechanics and everything from there. So we start off, and it's I'm going typical high school, fast, slow. And I say this to them like about sequences and tunneling and all the fun stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to start off with you guys. You don't know what's going to come, but just know it's going to be fast, slow. And they were like, huh? What? I'm like, you've never thought about sequences and like generalities or ideas where it's just fast, slow, or fast, slow, or fast, slow, fast. And they were like, no. And I'm like, oh man, hitting's easy. Like I used to crush hitting when I was high school, and and they're like, are you serious? I'm like, well, no, it's not that easy, but if you know probabilities and percentages, you're just playing poker up there and just trying to figure out what you're doing, trying to figure out when you can just push the square button. That's all I was telling them. I was like, you're just trying to figure out, is this a good time to say square to the moon? That's all you're trying to do,
Absolutely. Yep.
So it was pretty fun. I ended up striking out a bunch of them. I think I gave up like 2 hits and like 20 at bats or something like that. But, it's just, Cutternation is, I'm trying to throw anything I can to get you out. And a lot of kids I see, and help me with this. I don't see a lot of kids pitching to win a game. I see them trying to throw strikes. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Is that something that you deal with too?
Yeah. I see more guys trying to pitch not to fail. Right. I like to tell guys, throw, especially my high school guys, man, it's like throw the ball through the glove, not to the catcher. Throw the ball. I think Roger Clemens or somebody said that, or Clayton Kershaw, I believe it was, excuse me. But somebody said that, and I it stuck, like same thing on the hitting side, get the barrel of the ball. It's simple. Since hitting's so easy.
Yeah, but exactly.
Like just being more aggressive, you control the game on the mound, you control the game at the plate, knowing you prepared more than the other guy, getting outs, getting hits, learning from failure. And, that was my big downfall playing. I had tools. I just didn't take adversity well. I didn't take failure well. I just, I expect to get a hit every time when I hit.
You all do. Exactly. Every one of you guys.
Man, I feel like a little leaguer. Walking back to the dugout, my head down, crying.
Yeah. We don't take it very well, do we?
No. But, now it's like easy for me to say I'm not playing, right? So it's like, all right, you got out. Who cares? You barreled the ball, got out. Who cares? Or you threw a really good slider and he got a hit, or he took you deep. Who cares? There's nothing you can do about it.
Story of my life. My entire life has been filled with Texas leaguers and flares. Yeah. And that is just what has happened. I've come to the fact that a couple of years ago, I changed my entire pitching philosophy. It's funny that you said that too. My entire pitching philosophy flip-flopped. And I'd say about really when my career started taking off, I completely changed everything that I was trying to do because I felt like it wasn't working. I was trying to pitch to contact and try to have efficient innings and do all this stuff. As soon as I changed to strike every person out I face forever, I immediately started dominating baseball games. And then flares, choppers, and seeing eye singles seem to be the story of my life. Like recently I still throw. I'm 32 years old. I can still go out and throw 9, 10, 12. Last April, I threw 13 innings in a game. Now, Didn't know it was the 13th inning. So there's that. I'm playing down in Tijuana, having fun. It's a championship series. Loser go home.
Yeah.
And I tell the team knows, like, I'm a guy that doesn't like to know my pitch count. I feel like it's unnecessary information. I don't need to know a number that doesn't mean anything because you're going to freak out about it. Really, when you're
tired, you're tired.
Exactly. That's my thing. Yeah. So they counted my pitches. I think I threw 178 pitches in 13 innings. But I was fine. And that's one of the big things why I continue to teach what I teach, because if I'm 32, I wouldn't, how it is, like, especially with you training guys, like, I figured out that I can't train and then work. It just doesn't, there's too much time required to get yourself to where you need to be. You know what I mean? If I can get myself back to 95, 96, when I was at my best, I was spending all day doing it. And it's just, after talking to the scouts, realizing what was going on, I'm actually okay with not chasing the dream anymore. But now, kind of like you, it's kind of turning into a new dream where it's really getting fun because I get to live vicariously through these kids. Yeah. I got a kid who went to a tournament, texts me, and he goes, 5 innings, 8 strikeouts, 65 pitches. And I went, good for you, kid. Yeah. Good for you. Way to just go out and just 1, 2, 3, sit down. Yeah. Yeah. And then he goes, he took himself out of the game because he realized that he's the number one and he's probably going to have to come back on Monday, and he pitched on Friday. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to be smart here. We're in the 5th. I've thrown 5 innings, given up 0 runs. We're up 10-0. And then apparently the tournament's a showcase tournament, so there's no run rule, so they have to play the other innings. So he tells the coach, hey, I should just chill for these last 2 innings, save my pitches so I can come back on Monday. And the coach is like, oh, yeah, it's a good idea. That's a good idea. And he goes, okay, I'm going to go do my arm care. I'll be out here outside the dugout if you need.
Running the show.
I'm like, but that's where I've started to understand. And the question where I'm going into is, do you find that a lot more players are taking ownership of their career? Number one question. Number 2, are you finding a lot more pushback from coaches that kids are doing this?
Yeah, I was about to conclude that myself. I mean, even at the pro level, why did you draft me or why did you recruit me? Right? We see too many times, I was talking to AD over at LSU the other day in his office. I was talking, why did this kid get drafted, and look at his pitching mechanics now? What happened, right? So he had a lot of success here and moderate success here. So, we got to I firmly believe we got to let guys eat. We got to let guys go. We got to let guys be athletic and let them control what they can control, because we recruited them for a reason. You guys drafted them for a reason, whatever it may be. So I think the players are starting to learn that, but also pissing the coaches off at the same time.
Yeah. Totally agree.
And, that just shows you, A, you should have done more research in the program you signed to, or B, your agent or your advisor should have done a little more research to the team that drafted you. Obviously, sometimes you can't help it, but, when they call on your 4th overall, that's pretty tough to turn down. So, I see that a lot. Our high school level guys, especially, coaches in high school, travel ball teams, some of them, not all of them, are stuck in 1992, right? And just the way things were, even early 2000, mid 2000s. So the game's way different. You need to adapt to it, or you're going to be out of the game. So taking a lot of initiative and educating those kids without pissing people off is the hardest part for me.
Dude. I deal with the same thing. Like what? Yeah. So how do you deal with that when you know that, like, there's the easy one where it's like you just say yes sir and just hit the ball off the wall and no one's going to say anything. That's the easy one. The hard one is when the coach really is like adamant about the way the kid is doing something wrong, and that's kind of something, in the throwing world. I think the throwing world is 10 times more complicated than the hitting world because there's so many different ways that people throw. But I don't think that there's a lot, like these 1992 coaches are accepting the fact that there are more than one way to throw a baseball.
Yeah. You know what I mean? The other day or last night, I had a kid's dad. A kid's going to Virginia as a hitter, probably might be a 2-way player. And his dad's like, hey, he's falling off the mound. He needs to stay on line more. I'm like, no. Like, look at any high-level thrower. They don't land in a fielding position. You know, it's a joke. Like he's falling off first base. Like, okay, good. I want him to, you know? So, you know, just
Yeah,
dealing with
just
stuff
ask
like
him
that.
just ask the dad, how long is his axis of rotation?
Yeah.
Isn't that important, Dad?
Yeah.
And then he'll be like,
Instead of
what?
staying online, like
Yeah.
really? Like
Yeah.
what does that even mean?
Oh,
You know?
let's get into that because I love all of those fallacies, all of the myths, the glove tucks, the finish square, the finish in a fielding position. Like there's so many. If you follow, I mean, you probably follow my Insta story a little bit, but we're outside of baseball season. But inside baseball season, I'm constantly going, oh, weird, somebody throwing 99 who doesn't stop rotating. Let me just repost. Let me put this in here. Let everybody enjoy it. You know, and that's what like. It kind of bothers me, and I have a feeling we're on the same page, but help me out with this. Is it safe to say that we don't teach the game, or we as a group, there's some of us that do, but we don't teach the game as what we see on TV? We teach the game as a group, and I know it sounds like you and I don't, but as a whole, what is the information that's being put out? I feel like there's some janky Tommy Mansky video in the depths of some archive of the Little League baseball area that are teaching these kids how to swing, how to run, how to throw. And for one, maybe we should keep it that way. It keeps me in business. But number two, it just like hurts my brain when I just see people do stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing?
And that's, I mean, essentially my job, truthfully, like owning.
Oh, hold on 1 second. I'm sure he got a. You good?
There you go.
Yeah, did you get a phone call?
Yeah, sorry.
It's all good.
Owning a strength and conditioning business, right? My biggest thing is teaching kids to be as athletic as possible. And if you're listening to a coach that doesn't have your feels, doesn't know what you're feeling, doesn't know how your body's moving, you know, that's the hard part, right? So I define athleticism as controlling your body in space, you know, being able to control your body, but being able to have output. So if you're reading a book or if you're listening to 30 different coaches, your mind is going to be, you know, going crazy, right? So teaching athleticism and letting them be athletic, just like a lot of guys say, you know, down in the Dominican Republic, those guys throw the ball as hard as they can, as far as they can, run as hard as they can, swing as hard as they can. That's it, you know. So
every day.
When
I was down in Mexico, I got to go to the academy, which is pretty much equivalent to what they do over there. Yeah. And I watched kids 2 days in a row throw bullpens. Now, they didn't put the same effort in as far as how hard they were trying to throw, but they came in. They were professional 12-year-olds. That was the crazy thing. They knew how to act. They got in. There was zero. They had a little stretching circle fun, you know, but when they got down to business, they were doing all their stuff. They were doing right. Yep. They were throwing. There was really a very loose environment of having fun, training, and throwing.
There was no over control, right?
Exactly. There was you could tell that they knew they had a plan that someone had told them about long toss. And then you could tell that they had already had the plan on how their lines were organized of who was rotating into the pen. It was it was structured, but it wasn't like you were saying. Like they could tell when they got to the last 10 pitches, the guys that were coaching the other, you know, everybody would yell over to the next two guys, hey, you're getting ready to come, get over here, get ready. And then they would. And in the meantime, the other guys would be rotating through on times. Everything was very efficient. It was very nice to see, like, okay, yeah, all right, what is in my head is actually what you guys do. Okay, that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. So, all right, so it sounds like we should totally be working together. We'll figure that out later. So let's go back to this LSU thing, because I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually from Florida. I'm from Destin, Florida, which is like 5 hours from Baton Rouge, and I grew up in the South, so I know all about that stuff.
Nice.
You know, I actually knew that Odell Beckham Jr. as a freshman started in center field for LSU, but not a lot of people knew that. That only happened 1 year, and then LSU football went, hey, bro, you're going to be in the NFL. Maybe you should just chill and train. And he's like, okay. So going down to LSU, what was that like? Like, I've been through the facilities, but how was your experience?
It was great. I got to work with the entire baseball team. I got to rehab a couple guys. You know, Corey, their ATC, you know, let me, you know, invited me in and Travis, their strength guy, Travis Roy, is awesome. We just kind of bounce ideas off each other for the week and taught him my assessment process. I actually did a full assessment, 100% assessment for an hour and a half on one of my guys that lives down there now, who does remote stuff with us, who went to LSU. So he got to watch that and just kind of answered questions and just, talked about the importance of different things that guys aren't seeing, tested the 10-yard sprint times with their pitchers and how it correlated to the throwing velocity, which I'm still stuck in the middle with because I see it sometimes, I don't see it sometimes.
Yeah, so, I'm with you on that one.
Especially they had guys throwing 97, like 4 or 5 guys throwing 97, right? Maxing 97, and their sprint times are 1.9 or around there. So,
what's a good sprint time?
Elite is like in the 1.5 high fives. That's super elite. I have one guy who does that. He's a center fielder in the Rays organization. He's really, probably one of the most athletic guys I have. Then I have a couple pitchers that have run 1.5s, and they throw hard. So I was like, all right, maybe there's something to this, right?
Yeah.
My pitchers actually blew away my position players in this 10-yard sprint, right? So I was like, what the heck? So I got with Travis and I was like, hey man, I know that you guys have an elite staff. Let's do this study together. And he, so Friday morning at 6 a.m., we tested the entire staff and got all their times, and I didn't see a correlation at all with them. So, my brain's all over the place. But
that's cool though. I mean, it's great that you're able to like come up with a hypothesis, a theory, and then be like, you know what, I actually have an opportunity for some very high level athletes to work with. I'm only about a year in over here in San Diego, so I know that the process is going to take a little bit for, and I'm just now starting to get some very cool athletes that I can't talk about, but it's kind of fun. You know how it is when you get those high level guys and you're like, okay, this is going to be fun right here for what we're trying to do. But I know exactly, that's a debate about athleticism with pitchers you see, I'm going to be sensitive on what I'm going to say here. It's either team red or team blue, if you know what I mean. Like you got one thing or the other, and it's
the pitcher too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the time, it's the pitch. Like, I don't need to do agility. I don't need to do sprints. I don't need to do this. Yeah. And then the other half of pitchers are like, hey, I need to sprint. I need to open it up a little bit. I need to do some agility stuff. I need to feel athletic. So half my guys are like, build me an athletic program for on the field in between starts, and other guys are like, I'm just going to go lift. So,
exactly. Yeah.
A lot of guys are not, I hate saying stuck in their ways, but in their beliefs. And, you just kind of got to go along with that. But
yeah. Well, and you know what, I'll make a comment on that. Being a guy who's kind of tried everything, you know what I mean? Like basically going from a broken arm to 96 is a different thing,
Yeah.
And I really did everything that I could. Like I was like, okay, lift heavy. Let's see how lift heavy went. Lift heavy went great. And then it was lift. What the term was what was told to me was medium plus, and then try to do it 5 to 6 days a week. That also worked. Okay. And then it was like, okay, become more laterally agile and work on your rotational speed. Okay. That worked. And then it seemed like now I've got this list of 100 different things that I have to do. And now you got to pick through and figure out what you're trying to do with it,
That's what I tell my guys too. I've heard Cressy or somebody say an analogy similar to this. It's like, hey, all right, so you did a deadlift, a squat, a bench press, you stood on your head, you ate pizza, you ate ice cream, you streaked through the quad naked. Yeah. What made you throw harder?
Yeah.
We don't know. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Could have been the handstand. You know what I mean? So we don't know the true meaning of it. And I think that's where my staff and I are getting to the point where it's like, all right, let's figure out, is there a correlation between guys that lift heavy? Is there a correlation between body weight? Is there a correlation between 10-yard sprint time? We're just trying to measure as many different things as we possibly can to put out something and develop some kind of system. Obviously, you get stronger. Mass equals gas. We realize that, right? The average weight of guys throwing 95 plus is like 215 or whatever in the big leagues. But what is their sprint time? So like I have a kid that's 184 pounds throwing 97. Yeah. Why is he throwing 97? Because he's athletic. He's super athletic. Mm-hmm. So there's a correlation between weight. There's a correlation between sprint time. There's something going on. We just need to break it down and figure out why that's happening.
Totally. Yeah, totally agree. That's tremendous. I, the mystery of that is very interesting. And, one thing that I can definitely just put on my, myself, my standing, my belief in throwing, everything that I did, and then what I see the people who are successful, the amount of throwing that these people do all year, forever. Like, I haven't stopped throwing in 10 years on pure fear that my arm will get tight again, and then I won't be able to throw.
Yeah, so where we take the sub-maximal approach too, right? I love sub-max throwing. People don't realize that. We radar gun our guys even on sub-max playing catch.
I'm with you, yeah. I call it a 20% day, yeah.
Exactly.
20, 50, 100, yep.
And then if you don't have the radar gun on you, how do you know you're at 20%? How do you know you're at 50%, right?
Yeah.
The guys playing catch at 88 miles an hour, that's not a 50, 70% day. That's close to max effort. Even if he's throwing, if he throws 94, so just monitoring that is super important. I know this is going completely off schedule here, but
no, we're good. We're good. I'm with
you. It's like I want to. I was talking to our throwing guys, like, hey, let's put the gun on him. We have a pocket radar, we got a jugs gun or the stalker gun. We got all that stuff. So like, let's use it, not just for bullpens, not just for, just showing guys how hard they throw, but let's just use it to monitor their perceived exertion. And it's been good. We knock on wood. We haven't had any arm issues. We haven't had any arm injuries, even with the weighted balls, even with all that stuff. So guys,
he said it. He did the weighted balls.
Guys are getting strong. Guys are getting stronger. We got to make sure they're strong enough to throw a weighted ball and work on the sub-maximal throwing before they get to max intent and on-ramp them and do everything the right way.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll take the weighted ball transition right there. I honestly believe that weighted balls are a tool to teach you how to throw pain-free and with a loose arm.
Yeah, it's arm conditioning, I believe, right? Yeah.
No, I'm not even saying arm conditioning. I'm saying the actual patterning of the looseness, the looseness of the arm. And I get crap from people all the time because I got 7-year-olds doing a 1-pound weighted ball throw at low intensity. And then what I'm trying to get this kid to feel, and I'll explain this, for people that haven't heard me say it, but I say it all the time. Really what I'm trying to do is this baseball is too light in your hand for you to even know where it is. Especially when you're really trying to throw hard. So if I put something even just a little bit heavier, like maybe a 7. A 7 is I have our guys throw 7s all the time because even with me or for the kids, that 7 to 5 ounce, you can't really tell a difference with a plyo ball what the weight is. It's just maybe because when you hold it, it's a little squishy or whatever, but it feels the same to everybody. But if I put a hard 7-ounce ball, they can definitely tell a difference when they're throwing it.
And
you know what I mean?
That puts them into a better arm path too.
Yeah, exactly.
Naturally, right? So
naturally.
They're going to find the most efficient way to throw that.
Exactly.
Right? But at the same time, I've also had a high school kid come to me because he fractured his arm, and is because he literally just picked up the ball. His high school coach had him throw long toss with a weighted implement that was way too heavy for him. And he couldn't even do a push-up, couldn't do a squat, couldn't do anything.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Exactly. So, there's precursors to it. Like, you got to be able to, perform certain XYZ before you can throw a baseball or even a baseball, right?
Yeah.
Baseball's weighted. It's 5 ounces.
Yeah.
So people don't understand the percentages of the overload and underload are minute,
Yeah.
So it's not like you're taking a 6-pound ball and throwing it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll take that overload, underload. I'm a guy that when I did the underload 4-ounce, 3-ounce balls, it didn't feel good. I couldn't repeat the arm mechanic of what I wanted to do. The ball didn't go where I want to, even though it was faster, but I couldn't do it without feeling some kind of stress. And a lot of the guys that I worked with, even just 4 ounces to 5 ounces, same thing. And so there's some guys that I work with that can do a 3-4 ounce throw, but most of the guys, we go heavier, especially with our warm-ups and stuff there, for the confidence of the proprioception of what we're trying to do with the body, so we can repeat the arm path, the hand positioning, everything we can as often as possible, really.
Yep.
You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah. So that's great. It sounds, like I said, once again, we should be working together. Go figure. Weird that whole – I was thinking about this yesterday, like after the whole conversations that we were having in a little chat group that we have. If all of us worked in the same facility, could you imagine the
unreal.
absolute monsters that would come out of there?
It would be awesome.
Yeah,
so
every
many
day
people would hate us. It would be
oh
great.
my God. Everybody would hate us. We would go live every day on rotations, and then all of us would be in the middle of it right there, and that's one of the things that the place that I'm at right now, hopefully we've got some plans to try to do some expansions. The guys that I'm working with there, it's more of a gym, kind of like what you're talking about, but I'm the only sports baseball guy. And then there's another speed and strength coach and then another strength coach, which makes it very, very nice for what we're doing. There's no interference in anybody. It's very nice, And even the pro guys that the speed coach has, that they're seeing me do some throwing and stuff like that. And you can see that their heads are starting to turn. They're starting to like peek. Hey, what are you doing over here? What's this? You're throwing into the wall. What's that? And it's what, and I'm going to ask you this question too. I think it's very fun. Do you notice a difference between an affiliated mindset and an independent guy mindset?
Affiliated as in like a strength guy?
No, like as in a skill is a skill. Let's say a pitcher. Let's say two pitchers, right? Okay.
One's with the
one's
Padres.
Affiliated. Yeah, let's say one's affiliated.
Okay.
One's an indie ball guy. Okay. What do you see the differences of these two guys, either mental approach or everything?
I work with both, man. It depends on the guy. I know it's probably not the guy that what you wanted to hear. I don't know.
No, I'm not. I'm just asking you because I have an idea about something.
I have had plenty of guys that played indie ball that now are affiliated, and they have the same mindset, right? I have a guy now that you would have no idea he's an indie ball guy, and he takes it like he's in the big leagues. He works his butt off. I think the indie ball guys are more apt to trying different things just to get to that, next stage with the affiliated ball stuff. Yeah. But, at the same time, if you're in the minor leagues, you're still in the same position as the indie ball guy, right? Yeah. So I think if you're in the minor leagues and then in the big leagues, I think it's two different things versus affiliated and indie ball, honestly, because you still haven't made it. You might be with an organization, but, you're still getting paid essentially the same amount of money as the indie ball guy, or you have, I don't know. I think it depends on the guy. Truly depends on the guy.
Yeah. Oh, where I was going with that was that I feel like the structure of the affiliated guy I find it the other way, that most affiliated guys that are still affiliated, when we have a conversation or we talk about certain stuff, it always turns into the same thing. It's like they're pulling the reins back on what they're trying to do. It's like, well, in our program, we do this, this, and this. And then I say, okay, well, did that work for you? Did that program even work? Or did you lose velo? Did you lose control? Or and there's some guys that it did. But on the flip side, on the indie guys, I see them, what can I do? Can I make this better? Can I make that better? Is there a way, or should I be working on, there's just a lot more. I just see so much more aggressive, questioning of what the hell have I been doing, with everything. And I actually kind of have that same situation going on right now, where I'm affiliated guy, started working with, and then I'm just asking him basic questions. Like you mentioned strikeouts earlier. I think strikeouts are just absolutely the most underrated thing for what we talk about. As far as understanding what real domination is, and especially with pitchers, it's one of my favorite things to go over and say, all right, we'll do this real quick. Who makes the most money in the big leagues?
Guys that strike people out.
Perfect. You win. All right, you win. Right? So guys that strike people out make the most money in the big leagues. Now, for everybody at home, I'll break this down because DJ just broke the game. Appreciate it. But basically, if you look at it, if you can name the guys and who they are, you can say, okay, you can say that we'll go with David Price, Scherzer, Kershaw, Chris Sale, right? Those are your normal top fives. Now, why are those five guys getting paid the most money? And obviously DJ said strikeouts, but if you go look at their stats, it's not strikeouts per 9. it's strikeouts per inning is actually what you can look at because of domination per inning.
Scherzer had how many this year? 220?
Let me look at it again. I know he broke 300, but then he had that extra start. So give me a second. I think it was like, yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's what it was. Sorry. Undercut him by 80. My bad. Yeah, it's stupid, you know?
Yep, let's see what we got here. Max Scherzer, MLB. I think it was like it was exactly 300. Yeah, so he had 33 games. So this is the Unreal. Stupid part when you put it together, right? This is the man was on a mission to do this. He's 34 years old. He's 33 games. He was 18-7. He had a 2.5 or 2.53 ERA. But here's where the information that I like to see: 220 pitches, 220 innings, 300 strikeouts. The correlation to me for what I've seen, and this is where I made this change, where I started just looking more into the numbers and the guys in the big leagues. If you strike out over one guy an inning, your ERA directly correlates to being lower.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you strike out even, your ERA is normally around the middle. And if you don't strike out as much as you have innings, then your ERA is higher.
Yeah, we see guys in the minor leagues like, why am I not getting promoted? Well, you had a 2.3 ERA, but your strikeouts are super low. That's not going to translate to the big leagues. That's not going to translate. That's not going to translate to a double A. It's a big jump from low A or high A to double A.
Yeah.
So, why am I not getting promoted? Why didn't I get any love this year? A, you don't throw hard enough, and B, you don't have enough strikeouts, even if you got guys out. Yeah. So that's a correlation I see with that.
That's actually one of the questions and the things when I'm working with these two, the affiliated guy and the indie guy. This indie guy got it way quicker, and this guy, it just took a little bit more time for me to validate more stats and information because he was never in that world,
Yeah.
And so once I got it through his head, and then he talked to his people, and then we came back and had another conversation. He was like, okay, now it makes sense. Now I understand what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
He was like, I had too many constraints for things that he needed to do while he was pitching, instead of what he should have been doing is doing what all the Dominican, Venezuelan, Mexican guys do, is go out there. How fast can I throw this ball? Because the faster I throw a strike, the harder it is to hit. Exactly. And then how fast can I throw this slider that starts like a strike and ends up like a ball, so you swing and miss at it?
Yep. It's pretty easy. Pretty simple.
Yeah. It seems just easier than you would want it to be. You know what I mean? Yeah. But in the same sense, when we have our two guys, it just doesn't click all the time,
Yep.
And it's funny. This is why I get texts all the time. Like, I will work with a 7-year-old because if I can get that instilled in his head now, that's going to carry him so much further. You know what I mean?
Mindset, mentality.
Exactly.
Knowing you prepared more than the other guy across from you, either at the dish or on the mound, you're going to win. I had a conversation about that the other day with one of my kids. It's like, hey, if you're working your butt off in the gym, throwing balls, doing all your stuff you're supposed to be doing. You look at that hitter, there's no way he over-prepared than you, he's more prepared than you. So that gives them a mental edge right there, and more of a swagger, I hate the, ego, but it's true.
No, I think you have to have it. I think you have to be a pitcher. You have to lie to yourself and tell yourself, like, I wrote it inside my hat and I had it in there, and it said, you're the baddest man on the planet, kill everything. And so, like, just having that phrase, I would look at it before on there, and you just really have to, like, get into that mindset. And, occasionally the Kyle Farnsworth of pitchers comes out with guys, you know what I mean? And it happens. You get aggressive, but as you get older, one thing that I learned is just as soon as the game's over, you can turn it off. You don't have to be the guy after the game. And that's where a lot of people get kind of offended on stuff with things like that. So it's just easier kind of to go through the situations with all of that. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
So that's great. That's cool. So do you have any questions for me for anything or anything that you'd like to go over?
What do you guys do on a weekly for pitchers with the start, right? So what do you do with, say, a guy's throwing Friday on a 5-day or a 7-day rotation in college or something like that? So what, how do you line up your lifts? How do you line up? This is something I'm always going back and forth with on, day after they pitch, what do they do throwing and lifting? What do they do the next 5-6 days after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So myself personally, I had a create my last, like the highest level that I played was crazy because I was the closer for a month. We got our closer back, and I turned in the 8th inning guy for a couple of weeks, and then they had me start for 6 starts, and then I went back to the closing role because our closer had to go back to affiliated. It was just crazy, right? So in that whole season, I think I led the league in appearances and still had like 85 innings as a reliever / starter. And so what the cool thing was about that is I had to adapt my own lifting, my own throwing, my recovery, and everything from there. So if I take myself, I would probably
say you're a starter. What
That's
routine?
what I was gonna say. Like the way I would do it to the way I would recommend like some of my clients do it would probably be a little bit different because I know how much am I throwing and what I can do. But I'll just summarize it real quick. I like to work on a 3-day rule of throwing. We'll start with the throwing. My first day, max effort, whatever. It could be an outing. Let's say I started, right? Yep. The next day is going to be a 20% throw day where I'm going to do all my bands, all my recovery stuff that I do every day. I'm going to do my weighted ball throws at low intent. I'm going to let it out. And then I'm going to play catch, play, throw, whatever you call it. I'm not going to go beyond 60, maybe 70 feet, but I'm not really worried about it. But I'm going to have a nice, easy arc on the ball for as much as I can, even though I know it sucks. That's the thing. Like, that's the key the very next day of just low intent. What I think you said a term earlier, submaximal throwing, which means below max effort for all of us normal speaking humans. You know what I mean? And so I'll just do that until I feel good. And I found that the concept of that I've, picked up off of some power lifters where they were explaining, hey, when you crush your deadlift or your squat, and I've been doing this for years now, the same thing, and you can help me with this. The very next day you go under 50% or whatever, just to try to get everything loosened up to start your recovery process even better. So I kind of adapted that through my whole program, and I felt like it kept me the most healthy. So I'll go 20% throwing with recovery, sprints and agility work, and then I'll come into the gym. And then I don't like to go fully heavy because, especially if I really got after it, I don't feel like my body's recovered enough to really hit a super heavy lift. So I'll hit a full body medium plus lift, like I was telling you earlier, and I'll just do all the main things that I did. I'll probably do some mobilities, and then I'll do some hip thrusters, some step back lunges, some one-armed cable flies, some tricep extensions, some anti-rotations with some landmine stuff. Let's see, what else would I do? I'll even mix in some bicep curls, some rows. Like, I just want to hit everything in my full body to get a little fatigue on everything to start that process. And if I feel well the following day, then I'll do a heavy squat, heavy deadlift, heavy thruster, situation and just try to push my body for what I can. And then I will work down from there and break it into push-pull days for 2 days. So I get basically 4 days of lifting in and then 2 days of mobility, and then your typical nice, easy accessory work with your Jobs, shoulder complex, stability, working some other going into the next start with increasing my throwing back up too.
Nice. Yep.
Is that approved? Do I get approval on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have, different situations with guys, obviously. So we look at it as a max intent day and then kind of a light day and then an off day, right? They're hard, medium, light. So day of the game, last thing you want to do is lift right after you throw. It's like you running a marathon and then having to run again to cool down. It's just not going to be healthy for you. The next day we'll play light catch just to get loosened up, get some good feel. Maybe do some sprint work after that. And then the next day we'll throw long toss. So long toss to us is a harder day. So we'll lift that day. That'll be our heaviest day of the week. Total body lift. And then we'll go another lighter day where we're going to do just, mobility, catch, play again. And then we'll go to a bullpen. The day of the bullpen we'll lift again because that's a hard day. So we're not matched. I learned this kind of when I was at LSU too. We talked about it and I kind of confirmed what I was thinking. So talked to Travis, their strength guy, about how they program it, and then we had a little bit disagreements on when we're lifting heavy before our start, whether it's going to be the bullpen day or the day before the start. So it varies.
So what were you, by the way?
I would rather have us lift heavy the day before the start.
Really?
Honestly, because if they can't lift heavy the day before the start, they're not gonna. They didn't adapt to the program correctly, and that means my training sucked, right? If they're sore and they're fatigued, they're tired, they should be able to lift on game day.
Yeah.
If they needed to be. But I don't want them to go max intent bullpen and then lift again, and then they're shot for their session 2 days later.
Yeah.
So we kind of split that up a little bit. Travis thought it would be smart to do 2 hard days or two hard things on the same day, which made sense to me too. That's why I brought that question up. So like I said, I'm indifferent on it. It depends on the guy. I'm gonna let the guy determine what they want to do.
Yeah. So, back in college, when I was in junior college, one of the things that always intrigued me about our lifting program is sometimes when we would have a bullpen day, we would actually we would lift in the morning at like 7-ish, but then we'd throw our bullpens at 1:30. And I never felt like I was tired that day. It was always the next day that I was. Yeah. So when I went both days like that, that was something that really intrigued me for what, doing now. When I did it if I did it within the same throwing period or the structure right there, I noticed that the performance was I was never locating where I needed, never, executing what I could do. But if there was a gap, if my body had 3 or 4 hours to recover and then go into it, that was something that made it.
The rate of perceived exertion on that, right? It's just super high on a day or two before you need to be 100%, right? So, we're going off of a 2 or 3 day lift schedule during the season. Usually our guys consistently lift 3. Some guys, have to lift 2 depending on where they're at, what they're doing. So, the 3 day a week, we'll lift after the game on, say they start Friday, we'll lift on Sunday, then we'll hit it again on Tuesday, and then we'll hit it again on Thursday. So, and then the guys that don't have the 3 day lifts are going to be a Sunday and maybe a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday. That's where, kind of spreading it out a little bit where, they're not going to be overly sore. If they're doing the right sets and rep schemes, if they're going to be doing the right velocity-based training work, if they're, we can monitor all that stuff with, their bar speed output and all that kind of stuff, and making sure they're not getting torched and toast and whatnot, the day before their game. So it's, managing those levels, managing their rest and recovery, their stress, all that kind of stuff also plays into, a big piece in it too.
Sounds like you're trying to educate and fight the fight like I am, for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
absolutely
cool. All right, man. Well, I don't want to keep you for too much more. I appreciate your time. We've been going for a little bit of an hour. This was great. You could tell that I could probably tell too when we were going through our group and our chat and everything. This is going to be a fun one. It seems like you get it just like everybody else in the group, and
appreciate it.
I can't wait to kind of get that. I just got to do a couple more. I tried to do the round table thing. There's a couple more things that I need to set up with that, but I'm excited about it to get it because if we can get, the idea that I have is I think if everybody, if it's 3, 4, 6, if we all bring 1 or 2 questions with us into the group, then it gets a nice little debate going with everything. And
absolutely,
I can kind of control cameras and stuff right there. I think it's going to be phenomenal because basically it would be like doing the ABCA convention, but without having to get everybody together. And I think that's just tremendous for just in 1 year of really grinding and working on my business, and then, being online, being a little more, active with everything. I'm already seeing just in general a lot more posts that make sense to baseball players. I'm not seeing so many ground balls and hitting posts. I'm seeing, little Johnny is not little Johnny. Little Johnny's getting jacked, and little Johnny's in there doing some deadlifts, doing some sled pushes, throwing some med balls, trying to become a better, stronger athlete, and it sounds like your philosophy is just like mine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're definitely train less, play more, in order to get where you need to go.
And I think training's skill development too, right? So
exactly. That's why I feel the same thing.
Not just the weight room, right? So people, it's one thing people rip on me about, and it's like, oh, train more, play more. Like, no, it's train more on skill development.
Yes.
Train more in the weight room. Train more to get prepared for your games, right? So develop into somebody that wants to be, everybody wants to come see versus, you spending thousands of dollars on stuff going out. So
totally agree. The training does mean skill. It means skill. Like become.
It's not just weightlifting.
Yeah, exactly. Become better at picks. I always tell everybody now, like there's been a big fight and some things that happen, and I'm sure you deal with it over there with you too. But
absolutely.
Because we're in San Diego and we can be outside all the time and practice all the time, practice normally dominates training.
Yep.
And I've, really helped educate a lot of my clients and telling the parents, like, just go to practice and count the reps that your kid gets. Yep. If he was doing a one-on-one practice, would he get that same amount of reps, or would he get 5 times the amount? Is he getting 10 ground balls running?
Are they good reps?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Did he foul off 8 balls and then they told him to get, rotate through, or, did he miss 6 ground balls and they said, all right, that's enough. Like there wasn't, just going out there and blindly running a practice because whatever plan that you have for whatever little league, I never feel like it's an efficient way to do it. And I'm starting to cause a problem by empowering the parents and be like, look, you have control of this. You do not have to go to 5 practices a week as a 12-year-old. You should, if it's me, if I have an organization and there's a kid that's with me that wants to go get better somewhere else but still play, I am totally okay with it. I think that the militarization of practices that we do with these parents, where it's like, if you don't practice, you don't play. Like, I don't feel like that's efficient for a personal situation, because baseball's such an individual game.
I had a facility tell our players if they train with us, they're not playing for them, which is a joke. So that's what the stuff I deal with.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. All right, man. Well, hey, It's been awesome. We'll definitely get this going real quick. Don't forget, guys, check out Body Armor with the Focus Factor. I'm terrible with the lighting there. Focus Factor here. Check this out. This is awesome. Volma bats. You know it. All right. It's got some awesome stuff. Don't forget Plush Bands. And then shameless plug, you can get this awesome sweatshirt on my website. I got shirts, everything you want on there. You can get all kinds of stuff. DJ, one last thing. You want to say anything to anybody?
Oh, man, appreciate it for having me.
No, it was great, man. It really was. I appreciate, you just keep pumping out that good content and just giving me more ideas to get everything going from there. So I appreciate it. Guys, go follow him on social media. DJ Edwards at Push Perform too, right? I think.
DJ_Edwards9 and then Push Perform CO.
Push Perform CO. He's over in Colorado. If anybody's in Colorado looking for a facility, this is the guy right here. So I appreciate it, man. Let me know if you got anything else. We'll get together, definitely. Guys, one more thing. Don't forget, throw hard.